Stretching from the plains to the high peaks, the Colorado section of the Trans-American Trail reveals some of the most dramatic terrain on the route. Here, desert roads climb into the Rockies, winding through alpine passes over 12,000 feet above sea level. We will pass through abandoned mining towns, quiet valleys, and vast basins where history and wilderness meet. This section of the trail isn't just about making it through the miles. It's about experiencing the rugged landscapes, finding bucket list camp spots, laughing with friends, and getting to explore parts of Colorado that few will ever pass through. We have been looking forward to this section of the route from the beginning. We started this trail back in 2018 with our first overland rig. We've been doing it a steady year, and we're finally up to Colorado. If you're going to go coast to coast, you have to do the Atlantic Ocean Spur. We did it from West Virginia all the way to the Nags Head Island. Picking this section up takes you into Virginia, near the North Carolina-West Virginia border. We did this section back in 2019, and even earlier, in 2018, we did the North Carolina section with our very first overland rig. After that was Tennessee with its deep water crossings, Appalachian views, and this is where you really start turning west. Next, Mississippi, the muddiest state we came across. We enjoyed it with a few fixes and some swampside camp spots. Then it dives you into Arkansas. The Ozarks are the last section you see that have a little bit of mountains in them before you head into Oklahoma, where driving in one direction straight for 75 miles is not uncommon on this trail. We finished with camping in the dunes before heading into the shortest section on this trail, 71 miles of New Mexico beautiful deserts. You come out of the New Mexico desert with some switchbacks onto a high Colorado plateau, and that's where we pick back up. We're headed to a camp spot that I wanted to stop at last time, but we got there too early in the day and we needed to make miles back to Kentucky. It's a little section of private land at the top of that goat trail we mentioned earlier that we did get permission from the landowner to stay on. We've pulled a trailer that had a rooftop tent on it for most of our overlanding travels. This will be our first major trip pulling their new Backroads Trail series from Expedition Trailers. It's going to be a unique and pleasant experience camping with four walls. We've made it to our plateau top camp spot overlooking New Mexico's valleys. Looking down the valley, you can see where the trail comes through all of these ranches, then straight up the goat trail we spoke about that's going to take us into Colorado. It's about 95 degrees, so we get the awning up as fast as possible. We took 2 long days to get here, but we also drove longer so we knew we'd have time at camp just to hang out and relax before the rest of our company came in. After almost 18 hours of travel, Renee and I could both use a shower, so she tested out the instant propane water heater right away. And shortly after that, I got a text that Theo was coming in hot. I've known Theo since 2018. This guy has some amazing products from South Africa, and this trip, his rig of choice is the brand new Grenadier. This boy drove up from Texas, so he wanted to get to camp a little bit earlier like we did, set up so he could just relax the whole afternoon away. This also let us keep up with a little bit of housekeeping, so Theo was going to give me a hand with one of those, which is airing down the tires. I typically run between 18 and 20 psi when I'm on the Trans-American Trail or any trail with gravel or decent-sized chunk rock. We use the faster flate system that airs everything up, down at one time and up at one time so they all get equal pressure. Not a bad way to save your suspension and your keister. After it finally started cooling down, I got another text for the last group member of our party that was coming in hot, and I mean hot. My neighbors from back home Kentucky that were down in Tucson came on up to join us for this trip before heading back to school. Colton and Aidain, their Bronco, and a Gazelle tent with a couple cots. They set up their tents. Theo installed a few last-minute pieces of gear, while Colton made some beverages. I had Zargus cut me out some foam inserts for my custom bourbon bar. I'm extremely happy the way it turned out, especially since we have a freezer that holds ice squares. Being from Kentucky, we love our bourbon and we love to share it even more. Just keep an eye on that Baker 7 and see how fast Aidain drains it. Don't let old Crazy Eyes here intimidate you. He's Mr. Giggles most of the time. Also, I need to mention Bivy the travel dog and Nora are accompanying on this trip too. With the evening approaching, we put Theo in charge of the grill. And for our stove, we chose the Cook Partner grill. It's all aluminum, cleans up easy, it's light, and it packs up small. I am absolutely loving the new kitchen on the back of our camper. Veggies and wieners for dinner. We kicked it off this morning pretty early because it's one of 2 very long drive days that we're going to have on this trail. Nothing beats sunrises in the desert. As of this little corner here, we are officially in Colorado and starting this section. I wish I would have counted all the cattle gates we crossed through this whole trip. I'm going to say it's hundreds. Our first stop is the smallest jail in Colorado. We are in Branson, Colorado. It has 2 cells, and it hasn't been rarely used since being built over 100 years ago. When you leave Branson, you're met with perfectly maintained gravel roads. Having studied the map quite a bit, I know that going 35 miles an hour is going to be a luxury that we don't have much further in the trip. After a quick gas stop to equalize all of our tanks, we start heading north. Outside of Trinidad, I noticed that my camper wasn't charging. Figured it out, it was just a pretty loose connection. So far, most of the morning has been a little uninteresting, but as soon as you take a turn and cross over Route 25, you start seeing mountains and a glimmer of hope for some amazing trails. You're thrown immediately into the pines. Along with some ancient old stone homes, you're also greeted with the first 2 peaks that you could see, the Spanish Peaks. In this area, it looks like a mix between desert and Colorado. Just a little disclaimer, I'm not from Colorado, I'm not from these small towns, so if I butcher the name of your small town, please forgive me. Just north of La Vida, the trail really opens up and starts showing you some of the views I have expected from the Colorado area. Speaking of views, these are the Silver Mountains. Now that we've done so many states of this trail, I kind of have a sense of what the daily drive will be, and to be honest, you kind of dread it after a while. Every day you try to just get your miles in, but so far, I can tell that this is going to be different. The running joke between my wife and I is every time we come to Colorado, day 3 or 4 in, you're like, oh, look, another beautiful mountain, or another beautiful vista. It really is hard to process how gorgeous Colorado is. Combining really nice roads and views, man, the miles are going by fast, and we're making really good time. And I think Nora is having a great time too. We're entering the San Isabel National Forest area, and finally gaining some elevation. This is an area I'd like to come back to and spend some real time in. So far, the independent suspension on our new camper is kicking some major ass. At this point in the day, it's around 1 o'clock and it's time to stop for a quick lunch. Thanks, Colton, for the ham sammies. We finally made it to up above 10,500 feet elevation. Persistently good roads keep my hopes high that we're going to make our miles today. So we continue down these beautiful switchbacks to our next location, which surprised all of us. Nestled oddly in the San Isabel National Forest, you find something pretty weird. If you're in this area, do not pass up the Bishop Castle. In 1969, Jim Bishop started the Bishop Castle. This one-man project has been going on until he recently passed away. Buying this land for $450, it was originally going to be a cottage. But all these years later, he's turned it into something special. Even after losing a child in 2016 to a logging accident on site, he continued his love for building. The main room cathedral in this place is something to behold. There's even some suspicious art lying around. The site also has a gift shop, a bunch of livestock, including murderous chickens.
Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
As we continue, the trail turns west yet again. Cresting one small hill can dramatically change your view out here. Welcome to the Wet Mountain Valley. Here comes another name butcher. The Wet Mountain Valley lies between the Wet Mountains and the Sangre de Cristo Mountain. The route from here wraps you around the basins of these mountains, then back towards the valley, and then back up again a few times. It's crazy the difference a couple hours can make in Colorado. 1 second you're at a castle, the next you're in the valley floors. We're heading east now on a decent stretch of county roads, so you can finally give your butt a rest. You dip down in the small town of Cotopaxi at 6,300 feet and immediately start going up in elevation. When trying to choose camp spots, I look at Gaia GPS on a desktop computer, put the maps in 3D mode, and look for the sides of the mountains with the flattest spots. Also, using maps that are in satellite will show you little trails that typically aren't marked on the maps. Don't forget to bring your attack wiener to help protect you from those really bad snakes. Welcome to another bucket list camp spot find on War Mountain. After 250 miles of trail driving, we've made it to camp around 5:30. And with beautiful views like this, I decide to hold off on setting up and just enjoy it. Speaking of enjoying it, I'm gonna have a little beverage and have my friend Aidain make it. Trying something new, some whiskey in the wild flavored whiskey and Topo Chico blueberry and hibiscus. Did I like it? Yes. Gee, I wonder what bourbon he's gonna go for tonight. With the threat of storms and us wanting to hang out for a while tonight, it's time to set up the Taruka awning. This is what you get when you spend a ton of time mapping. We stayed up way too late. One bottle of bourbon later and a whole bag of pork rinds. It was time for bed. When planning your trips, post a little time in the morning to make coffee, especially after a night of cocktails. Also remember, the further you drive off trails to find these badass camp spots means you have to go back through them to start your day. Today wasn't as long of a day, and Colton was already feeling spunky. The trail wasn't very long this morning because I had plans for breakfast in Salida. Our chosen destination was Romeo's Restaurant. It's a breakfast burrito for Colton and a chicken fried steak for me. Right after Salida, you head back in the mountains headed towards Marshal Pass. Right after you turn off the main road, you're greeted with actual trail. Keep an eye out for Poncha Creek Road on your maps. This one is going to be slow going for you. We got quite a surprise when all of a sudden the road turned into the creek. something was starting to seem a little bit off about this road. I decided to send the drone ahead to see what we were getting ourselves into and where the road actually went. Little did I know, the creek was the road, but the road wasn't supposed to be the creek. So we had to do a nice little backtrack, 30 minutes, to get to Marshal Pass Road that ended up being an 11-mile detour. It's not a bad detour. It takes you next to Devil's Armchair, which is a pretty good view. Marshal's Pass is a pretty unique intersection of the Continental Divide Trail, the Colorado Trail, and the pass. From Marshal Pass down, you go down 2,000 feet of elevation. Near the bottom of it, Marshal Creek starts to turn into Marshal Glades. Next was a stop for gas in the town of Sargents, where Theo got a case of the giggles, and all I'll say is it had to do with him being the last one in the men's bathroom after a group of guys who've been on the trail for a few days.
It's like coal mining.
Get it together, man. Right after Sargents, you hit another group of switchbacks that take you straight back up to high elevations. Those switchbacks take us to Black Sage Pass and Tomichi Dome. Besides this valley being treeless, there's also a hot springs resort that we regrettably did not see. We're heading back down to the valley where we hit one of our last little sections of paved road for the day. You take a quick left onto a highway, go 0.6 of a mile, and you're right back on trail. This red section is one of the fastest areas that we got through due to how well maintained the roads were. We were able to average around 50 miles an hour. This is also where Poser Rock is located. There are many rock structures in this area, but this one stands out most prominently. The gravel's so good here, even the dogs can relax a little bit. There are a lot of large swaths dedicated to ranches and cattle. This is also the area where you start heading southwest towards the San Juans. This area is a mix of BLM and National Forest regions. When traveling with a group, it's always great to maintain expectations on what you're doing during the daily drive. For instance, these guys know it's gonna be a dusty trail. They're welcome to stick with you or hang back just a little bit, but not too far back, Theo. Los Pinos Pass is a substantial marker on my maps because it's the first place you can see the San Juan Mountains clearly. It's also the first area which starts to look like the areas of Colorado that I recognize. Looking back, for some reason, this is the area that sticks in my mind the most. Cathedral Point. Absolutely beautiful. If I could pick a place to stash a cabin, this would be it. From Cathedral Point, you start heading up 2,000 feet in elevation.
I'm good now. I got it all out.
Slumgullion Pass marks pretty much the end of our driving day. Well, besides going down 2,600 feet. Lovely shot of a semi. After making it out of the pass, we head down to Lake City for some showers at the River Fork Campground. And after showers, we headed down to the Packer Saloon and Cannibal Grill. This restaurant is a mix of Western flair and modern delicacies. Yeah, sit on the patio, which is amazing, and have a burger. Our third night of camp found us on the side of Red Mountain, overlooking Silverton. Today being a longer day on the road than expected, camp was kind of quiet. Everybody kind of just did their own thing and set up at their own pace. Renee went inside early with the puppies to go to sleep, and we had the best of intentions to have a few cocktails, but ended up just kind of passing out in place. We are up at 5:30 a.m. to get on the trail. We have a lot of different ways to go today. My goal? To get up and over Cinnamon Pass, over to Animus Forks, and down to Silverton before noon so I can drop the trailer off and we can get back on the trail. From Lake City, to start your day, get on Cinnamon Pass Road heading south out of town, and be prepared because every time we've driven through here, there is wildlife everywhere. This is also where the Alpine Loop starts. At the end of the valley between Sunshine Peak and Bent Peak, you make an abrupt turn up the side of the mountains. But also know, this is where you're going to find your first 300 to 700 foot sheer drop-offs. Out of all the places on this trail, this is where I'm going to start to say, put it in four-wheel drive, take your time, enjoy the views, but keep your eyes on the road. About halfway up, you reach the Burroughs Park camping area, where it kind of flattens out for a little bit, with some ruins in the area. But then the trail dramatically changes to switchbacks and vertical climbs. Over the course of 2 miles up to the pass, you're going to gain 2,000 feet of elevation change. It doesn't seem like much, but when you're rock crawling and doing very slow-paced trails, it is. When you have a solid front axle and you're in four-wheel low, these Jeeps do not turn very sharp. So it's better to swing wide. Take your time, do your Austin Powers turns, and be safe. And to me, it seems like this camper is having an easier time than my truck is. From the top of the switchbacks, you can see where we just came all the way up from. After the switchbacks, it's just a gentle grade all the way to the top. Someday, I'll be back up here when there's a lot more snow. For now, this is all that typically remains in August. Our first major pass, 12,640 feet, Cinnamon Pass.
Had a bad little ride.
On the way down to Animus Forks, you'll go between 11 and 14% grade. So, put it in 4 low and ride that gear. We put a Red Arc Tow Pro in ours, so it helps a little bit more to have that much power. If you bring dogs along, just also know this whole area, the Alpine Loop, is going to be hell on your dog in the truck. We're going to take a little diversion off of the Trans-American Trail to go drop a trailer off. From Animus Forks down to Silverton, it takes about 35 minutes of rough, thick gravel before you get to Eureka, where it smooths out and you can pick up the pace. Welcome to Silverton, where most of the roads are still dirt except for Main Street. Silverton will be base camp for the night. We are staying at the Silverton campground. We dropped the trailer and headed right back up to Animus Forks, where we came from. We dropped the trailer this morning because the trails today get a little too crazy to pull a trailer along, even that beast. What you didn't see on our way out of here was how beautiful this drive is. It's probably one of the most scenic ones in the area. This is the Animus River Valley. It is littered with countless mines, some of which are being restored and some are dilapidated. And just up the valley, where a bunch of trailheads all meet up to one, is Animus Forks Camp. Sitting at 11,168 feet, this is the highest mining camp in North America. This little town used to be home to over 450 people. And right around the corner and up the hill is the Frisco Mill. This mill was assembled in Silverton, numbered, disassembled, and then reassembled in place by the numbers all the way up here. Ingenuity at its finest. And at the Frisco Mill, we're officially back on the Trans-American Trail. We are all having an absolute blast. Next on the checklist is California Gulch. And for all you would-be trailgoers, here's a little bit of trail etiquette. The uphill car has the right-of-way, and if there's someone behind you and you plan on going literally 1 mile per hour like these guys did, move over and let them pass. You never know when the vehicle behind you needs to keep more momentum than you do. Stand by for one of my all-time favorite view reveals. California Pass, 12,904 feet. Next stop, Lake Como, right below us. It's a fun trail getting down to Lake Como, except just be cautious. There is a 100-foot section that, if you're not careful, you can roll. I present to you the beautiful Alpine Lake, Lake Como, 12,224 feet. And as tradition dictates, I make the guys jump in. Did I do it this trip? Hell no. Well, somebody had to fly the drone. And if you really want to mess with your buddies, use the drone propeller wash to freeze them out even more than they are already freezing. Sorry, I'm not sorry, buddy. Heading back towards California Pass, you make a right at the top of the mountain and head on over to Hurricane Pass. It's not really a great pass, but it's part of the trail. After a couple miles of downhill, you start to see your upward approach to Corkscrew Pass. And as you head up to Corkscrew Pass, look left and you'll see Velocity Basin. That's where we'll be camping in a couple days. Corkscrew Pass, 12,240 feet. This is also home of the Red Mountains. All of that beautiful red that you see, looks like a painting, comes from the metal rusting in the iron ore. This is one of the more nerve-wracking descents. And in most cases, a multi-point turnaround is required to get around these tight switchbacks. This is also a popular area for side-by-sides and dirt bikes, so just be cautious around these tight corners because they do not slow down. We stopped at the base of the mountain for a restroom and were able to help a group of dirt bikers get one of their bikes on track. Since Theo had an odd collection of random bolts, we did about another 35 minutes of trail riding before we hit the $1 Million Highway. If you've never been to Colorado, just this section of road from Ouray all the way up to Silverton is worth the trip. But no, it's also full of switchbacks, so if you get car sick, I'd avoid it. Our destination is in a little town that is also renamed Switzerland of America called Ouray. Our restaurant of choice every single time is the Outlaw Restaurant. And there's only one thing on the menu that we go for: the 16-ounce prime rib John Wayne cut. And do yourself a favor, get it blackened. From Ouray to Silverton, you head back over the $1 Million Highway. We made it back to camp around 7:30. We got our showers, and of course, you know what time it is. It was finally time for Aidain to polish off his Baker 7. We all loved how surprised he acted that it was all gone. I think the babies were also grateful just to be sitting in one place. For me, it was good old Jep the Creed bottle and bond and unsweet tea. We watched the sunset, had some great conversation, great beverages, and then we watched Colton proceed to pee himself. He laughed so hard. next morning wasn't a giant rush to get up, so we made a 8:30 wake-up call and gave everything a little bit more time to dry out. Today's adventure was a side quest. We're going to try to make it to the top of Imogene Pass. The trail starts back up in Ouray, so yes, we traveled back over the $1 Million Highway again and up some of the pretty big steep drop-off cliff lines that bring you up to Camp Bird. If you want to have a little bit more fun, don't take the shortcut directly through Camp Bird. Do the longer trail with a lot more rock crawling that goes right above it. Now, I only have a Sport Gladiator with the max tow package, so it's an 8-speed automatic, and it does just fine through all these trails. The Grenadier and the Bronco did the same. The only upgrade that Theo said that his vehicle needed was a little bit beefier suspension. The stock stuff still did just fine. So far on this trip, we've had nearly perfect weather. I'm feeling pretty grateful because the weather up here can change on a dime. Imogene Pass on a clear day cannot be beaten. Both Aidain and I have been to this area a couple times, so we let Theo take the lead so he can have the best views. You know, as we're out here living that YouTube and Instagram life, you gotta get those perfect pictures in. So, somebody came along and named this rock the perfect name for us. Poser Rock. To me, it means two things. One, we can pose our vehicles there. And two, it means that we're posers, because we're posing as actual YouTubers. From above Poser Rock, it gets steep. I mean, really steep. From Poser Rock to the top of Imogene is right around 1.5 miles, and you go up 1,000 feet in elevation. Imogene Pass, 13,114 feet. On the other side of the valley is Telluride. We won't be heading down there from Imogene because the road is closed. Over the last few years, they've had some pretty big rock falls and mudslides, so I think they're just shoring that up for the future drives. If you're going to bring your dogs up here, just know you should keep an eye on them because you don't know how they're going to react to the thinner air. Also keep an eye on your buddies who are acting oddly, more odd than normal. As fate would have it, our trip was going a little too good. Theo got himself nice and wedged between two rocks there and sliced off his quick air down system, and all of us idiots didn't have a proper jack on us. I left mine at home. What Theo did have is proper trail footwear. This lovely couple in a Jeep stopped to help us, and we jimmy-rigged very safely, wink wink, a way to jack up the tire.
Why do you look so creepy while you're doing this?
After a good hour and a half long repair, we headed back over again the $1 Million Highway, grabbed my camper, and head up to our camp spot for the night. Velocity Basin, 11,291 feet. This is now one of my top 5 camp spot locations. This place checks all the boxes off for me. High elevation, mountain lake, typically year-round snow patches, epic views, and typically sheltered a lot from the wind. It also helps it's only a 20-minute drive from Silverton. Sit back and enjoy the views. We camped right at the top in the roundabout, so of course we had some visitors, which we chatted up. And as the sun set behind the mountain range, it was time for some dinner. I'm cooking up tacos. With Nora and Bivy alerting us that it's time for their cheese tax, dinner was served. I'll say it again and again, when it comes to dinner, use the KISS rule. Keep it simple, stupid. And for us, when we go camping, we would go camping with people we know we're going to have a good time with. Colton has never been past the Mississippi River from the east, so he was enjoying his space. So of course, we have to interrupt it.
Theo stalking his wild prey. Can he make it without disturbing him? He walks like a giant fat toddler. Can he get to the bear without being noticed? Let's find out.
Before they were firmly set.
We were all having just a perfect night when someone noticed some movement on top of one of the mountains around us. From what we could tell, it was a herd of mule deer, and we still couldn't figure out how they got all the way up there. So after seeing some highland sheep, the guys decided to make their own little route for the half day. They went up Picayune Gulch to Sound Democrat Mill. There were 7 stamp mills used to crush the ore to extract the gold. The ore was transported from the mine to the mill via aerial tramway. The mill was built in 1905. While the guys were up at the mine, the wife and I did some shopping downtown Silverton and took an afternoon nap in the park. I can honestly say that I sleep better in this camper than I do at home. After everybody reconvened in Silverton, it was time to get back on the trail. First stop, Overland Pass. I would personally consider Overland Pass to probably be one of the easiest passes in the Alpine Loop area. From the main road at the start of the pass, you only go up from 10,000 feet to 11,790-ish feet. The only difficult-ish part is when you're heading west on this trail, the rocks seem to get a little bit bigger, so it's slower going. The camper comes with a DO35 Cruise Master hitch, so going past a normal camper's breaking point, this thing stays together. The best part about this section of the trail is you can see the whole Valley's road from the top. So, it does get thin, but you're going to be able to see if somebody's coming and wait for them to pass that area. Once making it over Ophir, we head through downtown Telluride to a very special place with a unique view. Bridal Veil Falls, 9,969 feet. Bridal Veil Falls is a 365 feet waterfall at the end of a box canyon overlooking Telluride, Colorado. And right next to Bridal Veil Falls is the infamous Black Bear Pass descent. After the falls, we head downtown Telluride to do a little shopping and realize that we're not billionaires, so we head up to our next camp spot, which is south of Telluride, which takes about 30 minutes of trail to get to. After arriving at camp, we helped Aidain air up his tires because he'd be leaving out the next day with Colton to head back to Kentucky.
We'll figure something out. He's leaving us tomorrow.
Sorry.
We enjoyed one last Telluride blonde ale in the basin of the best camp spot on the trip, Gold King Basin, 11,338 feet. Just on the other side of this basin, you can see where we came in through Ophir Pass. On the other side of this basin were Alta Lakes. That campground was closed, but Goat King was our original destination to begin with. There are still remnants of the mines left behind. They seem like they could slide off at any time. They sit here as a beautiful reminder of how hard it used to be to mine gold. This is now one of my favorite places to camp in Colorado. 7 a.m. came quick for these guys. They packed up, got ready to head out. We said our goodbyes,
Goodbye.
and they were off. See you back in Kentucky, fellers.
With a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here.
It would just be me, the wife, the pups, and Theo continuing on.
It's clear to see.
Today was our last day, and it started with 30 minutes of beautiful highway drives.
The world seems small. We can sit
A few switchbacks right off the highway lead you to, yet again, another section of beautifully maintained roads. We're happy to be back on smooth gravel.
We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
We are in the San Juan National Forest now, and in front of us is a mountain called the Lone Cone.
Sometimes you need to go and take a step back.
We definitely hit this area in the right time of year. Either side of us, every time we came through a glen, was covered in beautiful wildflowers,
Distance you can take.
and deer were everywhere.
You and me were meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me.
And much like the other side of the San Juan Mountains, Black Mesa Mountain is the last place that you can look back and see the San Juan Mountain Range.
Forever free.
And past this point, you can look out, see Utah, and nothing but flat. Over the next couple hours of just generic Colorado trails, sadly to say, mountain lakes, cattle farms, and windswept ranges, you go from 10,500 feet to 7,500 feet. And out of nowhere, the terrain sort of changes back to desert. There's a few more miles left down into some switchbacks into a valley, and then right up the other side to one of the most dramatic landscape changes I've ever seen. We drop down into the Dolores River Valley, 6,465 feet. And as we begin to pop up the other side, we see our one and only bear at a distance. He was there, then he was gone. Only 300 feet above Dolores River Valley, you come up to the Colorado Plateau. This place reminded me of Oklahoma's flat plains more than anywhere else. Quick side note. During this trip, we've noticed we've had zero issues with our camper, and it really has changed the way we overland. Can't wait to spend many more years inside of this camper. And much like Oklahoma's trail, go straight for a few miles, take a left. Do the same, take a right. Continued. After a quick snack and fuel reload in Dove Creek, we headed on to our last little 30-minute drive. One more mile, in an obscure turn, we were going to cross into Utah. There is no welcome to Utah sign, there's just a cattle gate, and then you're there. The TAT really does take you through some of the most remote areas in the country. We were greeted to Utah with a field of sunflowers. Every cent spent on this trip was worth it. We did 800 plus miles, and if you didn't do our little side quest, you could probably get through this whole section comfortably in 6 days. Until next time, we appreciate you.